Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto Was Abandoned But Found Someone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. X. The kids walked away, looking over their shoulders at the blonde as he flopped on the grass-spread eagle and groaned loudly. Sakura and Tsunade, concerned for his well-being, walked over to ask what was wrong. He told them, nothing, and they kept pressing the issue. The laughter from the foxes was heard behind them and they turned to find all the foxes with huge grins and shaking bee. Tsunade raised an eyebrow and asked what was so damn funny. Genmaki caught his breath enough to answer. He's just tired, Lady Tsunade. He'll be fine with some rest. Okay, but what did this to him? He has bruises all over and looks like he's been through a shinobi war. Penny snickered and rolled to her side. Sakura's eyes widened and her hands flew to her mouth as she tried to stifle the giggles that threatened to burst forth. Naruto shot her a withering glare, which only made her laugh harder. Tsunade made no effort to hide her amusement and spent the rest of the day teasing the poor king. Around lunchtime his wife made her appearance. Ino sashayed out of the house wearing a white tank top and blue skirt, smiling the whole way. Tsunade and Sakura looked up from their seats beside a knocked-out Naruto and returned her wave and smile. They had teased him for over an hour before sleep finally claimed him and his bruises began to heal. Ino smiled at her husband and plopped down beside him, on the other side from Tsunade and Sakura. Sakura, still being somewhat of a gossip hound, decided that details were needed. So, what's that like? Ino rolled her shoulders and laid back, using Naruto's stomach like a pillow as she stretched out on the grass. It's weird. It's not like arousal, it's like a constant need to get him. I literally made him black and blue last night, and this morning he tried to run away from me and I tackled him. We fought a little, rolled down the stairs, and I ended up on top of him. The rest is all a blur. I've been a little hard on the poor guy, I know, but I can't help myself. So how long does this last? I dunno. I've never been in H before. It's a totally new experience. Hey, wanna see something funny? Fine, if you're going, then I'm going with you. Absolutely not. I can't be distracted, Ino. Don't worry, I won't be a distraction. I won't touch you the whole time. Ino, you're in H. You can't control yourself. Look, Uzumaki Naruto. I'm going with you and that's final. Naruto groaned and held his head in his hands. He'd already lost this argument. What about the children? They need protection. Hikaru can summon us and the foxes are here. They'll be fine. Besides, I want to see our kingdom. Fine, but you screw this up and no S for a year. Ino's face went pale and her mouth fell open. That was the worst thing he could have punished her with. That or never singing to her again. Tsunade and Sakura snickered at her obvious discomfort and distaste of the threat. But, you can't. HMPH, fine. But you screw up and I get to have my way with you with no whining. Deal. Deal. By the time they were through with the deal making, the children had come back wondering what lunch was going to be. Naruto, being tired, couldn't muster the energy to fix lunch so that fell to Tsunade and Sakura. Well, it fell to Sakura since Tsunade could burn Lucky Charms in ice-cold milk. Naruto and Ino went back to the house. Ino, to look for an outfit that would bring out her regal qualities and not clash with her purple fur, Naruto threw on a white undershirt and shuffled into town to buy some new outfits. Once the children were fed and everyone was settled in, Naruto explained the situation. Okay guys, me and Ino are going to the Fox Realm. I don't know how long we'll be gone, so don't advertise that we're not here, okay? Try to stay on the grounds if possible and I want the foxes with you every time you step outside. Vulpine, if you see anything that even looks remotely dangerous, react with intent to K. Any uncounted scents are to be dealt with as you would any unknown scent to the realm. Understood. The foxes all nodded in acknowledgement. Shin looked absolutely ecstatic. He was always one for a good fight. His over-exuberant personality bled over into all aspects of his life. He truly was the foxy equivalent of Lee. The rest all looked apathetic to the concept or had a grim countenance upon their face. Tsunade and Sakura looked pensive. If they had to watch all 3 children, it was a huge responsibility. Thank Kami for the foxes. They were an absolute godsend. Naruto looked over his family with concerned eyes. This was a bad idea in his opinion, but Ino could not be swayed. He see his eyes to the blonde in question and saw that she had no discernible look on her face. She was a blank slate. His lips twitched in annoyance and he turned back to look at his son. Hikaru gazed up at him with big eyes. Hikaru, I want you to help watch over your brother and sister. If you see anything out of the ordinary, anything that seems misplaced, if you see a trace of Uchiha Sasuke or any of those that might be loyal to him, you summon me, you hear? Don't leave things to chance. Don't be a hero. You call me and no matter what I'm doing, I'll come. Do you understand, son? Yes, sir. Good. I expect you all to have no problems while we're gone. And Tsunade, Sakura. The 2 women watched as Naruto stood and put his arm around Ino's waist, pulling her in close. He looked at them pleadingly, begging them to heed his words. Please, keep them safe. Be safe. We'll return soon hopefully. See you later. In a flash of flame the 2 disappeared, leaving the 5 humans and 5 foxes. Genmaki sighed and turned to the rest of their little group. Putting on a foxy grin, he spoke. Well then, who's up for lunch? Shall we go to Ichiraku's or the new sushi bar? Sakura put a finger to her chin and thought for a moment. I suppose we should go to Ichiraku's. The sushi place doesn't allow pets. All the foxes scowled and began to grumble under their breath. Tsunade thought she heard one of them, although it was very low. Not a goddamn pet. She wasn't sure which one it was. In the fox realm, a flash of flame erupted in the middle of the market and sent all the foxes scattering. Vulpine of all kinds and colors dove for cover as the flames rose and then abated, leaving their king in his tailed glory and a strange woman with purple tails and ears. Once their monarch was seen, all the foxes came out of hiding and surrounded the couple. Ino turned round and round, taking them all in and seeing that there were colors of the rainbow that she hadn't thought possible for fur. Naruto greeted his people in his usual lackadaisical way and they reciprocated in kind. In the short time he had been king, the foxes had all learned that their king didn't stand on ceremony and he didn't like to be treated as something special. When he needed to be serious, however, he was terrifying. They had all seen his true power and the mere aura he gave off was enough to bring the weak to their bellies. To the most powerful among them, breathing was a chore. They revered him as their leader and feared him as an enemy. Naruto looked around and saw that they weren't far from the palace. He grabbed Ino around the waist again and bade the foxes gather round with a sweeping motion of his hand. Once he had their attention, he spoke in his loud booming voice. Everyone, gather at the palace. Tell everyone you see and be there in 30 minutes. I shall present your queen to you. Ino, that throne is a symbol to the people of this realm. The old Kyuubi would sit upon that throne and send down his judgment upon the people. The one who sat on that throne ahead of me was a beast and I will not accept a seat that was sat upon by a tyrant. Then have it melted down and a new one made. You are the king Naruto. I know. And that throne is a reminder to myself that I will never be what the old Kyuubi was. I'd rather have my powers stripped from me and my tails yanked out with a pair of pliers. I'd much rather sit atop the top step and address my people as Uzumaki Naruto, king of the foxes, husband to Uzumaki Ino, father to Uzumaki Hikaru, and Kyuubi of the Bayou than to sit upon a throne as a reminder that these people will never touch their monarch. I refuse to compromise my beliefs for tradition. And the people love me for it. I agree. Have I told you how you are when you're being all regal and serious? Naruto sighed and hardened his hold on Ino's waist, keeping her secure and out of reach of his ding-a-ling. Not now, Ino. The people will be coming soon and I'd rather not have them see me with my pants down. Or yours either. Ino pouted and crossed her arms, her tails beating a mad rhythm across his back. He was saved by the appearance of the council. The elder took up its station in the middle and Kazama and Hinamori took up the sides. Welcome back, Lord Naruto. We've been preparing for the arrival of the chiefs and did not expect you back so early. Who is the young woman with you and why does she have 2 tails? This is my wife Ino, elder. Your queen sits before you. The elder's eyes flew wide and the 3 councilmen bowed their heads before their new queen. Ino rather liked having subservient people and had a smirk on her face until she saw the disapproving look out of the corner of her eyes. She quickly dropped the smirk and took up a reassuring smile. Please don't treat me any different than you would my husband. I only wish to serve, as a queen should. I won't be around much for several years anyway. At least not until the children are grown. We understand. Still, your highness will be a big hit with the people. There are no others with royal purple fur that my colleagues or I know of. I think you should go to the balcony now my lord and lady. The people await a complete ruling family. Ino giggled as she latched onto Naruto's arm and gave the council a knowing look. And if I have my way then the family will be complete very soon. Naruto groaned and pulled his wife along, ignoring the questioning looks of the council. He turned before they walked onto the balcony. Did the messenger for the serpents ever make it back? Yes my lord, although he was quite shaken. Apparently, the snakes are still in a state of uncertainty as to their leadership, but Handra promised to be here regardless. As long as the messenger is okay. Once the two were gone, the elder turned to the other two and smirked. Well, it seems our queen is in H. Perhaps we shall have a royal family soon. Hinamori smiled and nodded her head. Indeed, and with such strong parents, the child will be a boon to the Vulpine without doubt. Kazama just looked after the two humanoid foxes with a smile on his face. Things were always fun when the king was around, and his wife was just as eccentric as he was. Naruto stood on the balcony with Ino by his side, looking out over the sea of multicolored fur. He smiled when he spotted Genmaki's wife and Kits amongst the crowd. He took a deep breath and shouted over the din. People of the Vulpine, I stand before you with a person I have promised to deliver unto you. I bring before you your queen, Uzumaki Ino. The foxes erupted into a cacophony of yips and barks, filling the air with a pure essence of joy and happiness. The Vulpine hadn't had a true royal family for eons. It was a true moment of peace for the fox realm. Ino smiled and beheld her subjects. They were certainly a spunky bunch. Hi. Naruto snickered at his wife's shyness. She was never this indecisive and quiet around anyone. Ino shot him a dirty look and straightened her back. My fellow Vulpine, I have come finally and stand before you as your queen, Uzumaki Ino, wife of Uzumaki Naruto. I have come to represent our kingdom in the talks with the toads, serpents, and slugs and will stand by my husband in whatever he decides. Ino glanced at Naruto and he gulped when he saw that rebellious twinkle in her eye. Know also that I will personally pound his ear into the ground if he gets out of line. Naruto scowled at his wife but eased up when he heard the waves of chuckles from the crowd below. Ino stood with her hands on her hips and a huge grin on her face. Her husband grinned largely as well and put his hand on top of head, ruffling her hair and ears. If you are quite through posturing for the people, I'd like to take a walk and show you the kingdom. I believe you'll find it beautiful. As the council shooed the foxes back to their lives below, Ino rested her head against Naruto's shoulder and leaned into his embrace. I'd like nothing better. As they walked through the streets, Ino nodded to everyone she passed. The foxes all smiled and bowed to her reverently. Ino decided she liked the realm better than Konoha. Here she was accepted readily and her husband was beloved. The realm was much more beautiful than Konoha and the streets, despite being inhabited by animals, were clean and well maintained. Then they went to the fields. The royal couple stood at the edge of the field and watched as the crews of foxes cleared the area for the meeting. The large size of the chiefs made diplomacy a hard thing to deal with, but luckily the fox realm boasted large and relatively level fields. Wouldn't want Gamabunta's sake cup splashing over. Ino sighed and wrapped her arms around Naruto's waist as she soaked in the awe-inspiring beauty of their home. It's a gorgeous Naruto. How did I get so lucky? Naruto smelled salt in the air and looked down to see tears in Ino's eyes. She looked up at him, practically beaming. I'm a lucky person Naruto. I have you, I have Hikaru, and I'm a queen to a whole realm. What did I do to deserve this? Naruto smiled down at his wife and kissed her forehead as he wrapped his arms around her shoulders. She pressed herself into his sea and sobbed. He leant down and whispered into her ear. It's because you're a good person Ino. Good deeds are always rewarded in the end. You came and made mine and Hikaru's lives complete again. You brought me back to our friends. You've taken care of me for nearly 2 years now. I couldn't imagine life without you now. No matter how much of a pain in the you are sometimes. I love you, Ino. Ino looked up at her husband and smiled, before nuzzling back into his sea. You were on such a roll and then you F it up. Nice save telling me you love me though. Things were silent for a moment until Ino began to squirm. Naruto's eyes flew open and he began to chant, "No," over and over in his head. Hey Naruto. Yes. Are there any secluded places that most foxes don't go? Yeah. Why? She shot him a vicious grin and gripped onto his butt with both hands. Because I've always wanted to do it outside. Let's go. Naruto hung his head in defeat and led the way to his doom. Hopefully she wouldn't wear him completely out before the meeting. Naruto sighed as he and Ino stood in the middle of the field they would use for the talks. It wasn't bad enough his wife was horny as a cat in their normal lives, now she was enraged and excited as hell at the prospect of seeing their kingdom. It wasn't often he had to be the adult in their relationship, but now he found himself growing tired of having to keep her reeled in. Damn, if only he'd thought to bring a leash, he blushed at that thought. Ino was kinky enough. He didn't need to be giving her any more playful ideas. Unfortunately for him, Ino had been concentrating on his thoughts, having nothing better to do, and grinned at him. You know, we never have done a master-esque kind of thing. Good idea, honey. Ino, seriously, don't get any ideas while we're here. We have to keep a certain amount of dignity. Or, come on Naruto. You don't think the female population would find it cute seeing me lead you around with a leash? Personally, I think you'd look hot in a spiked collar. That is not what I was imagining and you know it. Besides there ain't no way in hell you could get me to let you put a collar on me. Ino grinned ferally and put her face right into his. With her hormones out of whack, the close contact was getting to her. She breathed heavily as she ground out her retort. Wanna bet? As Naruto sputtered, trying to think up a viable reason not to, he felt the ground shake and looked around for the source. To his left, he saw the leaping of a few toad-shaped objects. To his right, were the undulating shapes of what appeared to be slugs. And to his rear, were the familiar movements of a snake. Thank Kami for small miracles. And it seems that Handra came on his own. Interesting. They both watched as Gamabunta, Gamakichi, and Gamatatsu bounded into the clearing, sending the foxes that had been preparing the area scurrying for safety. No sense in hanging around if the guests had arrived. Gamabunta looked around for his former summoner and could not find him. He frowned and turned to his two children, seeing they were also looking around for him. The brat had always been a stickler for punctuality. Hey you old geezer. Down here. Bunta looked down at his feet and saw the two blondes standing before him. He leaned down and focused on Naruto. Oi brat, why aren't you in your true form? That's a sign of disrespect you know. I am in my true form. I like this form best, so it's my true form. Besides, it's kind of weird looking at you guys on eye level and Ino can't get that big yet. I don't want her feeling left out. That is most noble Naruto-san. I admire that in a man, unlike other associates of mine. Naruto turned to see Katsuyu behind him, with what he thought was a smile on her face. Her voice certainly sounded mirthful. Bunta scoffed and blew a large cloud of smoke from his pipe. Bah, this boy has never been noble. I've known him for years Katsuyu. Don't let that facade fool you. He's only acting like that because his wife would brain him if he wasn't a good boy. Be that as it may Gamabunta, you should take a page out of his book. You act much too like a yakuza than a proper chief. Your father was not nearly so abrasive. And my father wasn't able to keep the toads in line like I do. Naruto was about to put his 2 cents in when a presence came onto the field and they all turned to see Handra in all his glory. Despite the fact that there is no way for a snake to not look menacing, he was certainly making an effort of it. Good day to you all chieftains. I, Handra, humbly ask that you forgive me for arriving late. Don't worry Lord Handra, you arrived exactly when you meant to. And that just happened to be right on the time we set. Now then, I would ask all the chiefs to state the names and their affiliations. Gamabunta, boss of the mount. Myoboku toads. With me are my sons, Gamakichi and Gamatatsu. They will act as my witnesses to this meeting. Katsuyu, mistress of the slugs. I have 2 of my subordinates with me acting as my witnesses. Handra, lord of the serpents. I have no witnesses, being a newly named lord and I still have some opposition. And I am Uzumaki Naruto, king of the Fox realm. With me is my wife and queen, Uzumaki Ino. She will be my witness to this meeting. All the chiefs bowed to each other reverently, and as soon as they popped up, Handra looked toward Naruto. Forgive me for asking, Lord Naruto, but why are you not in your true form? It is in bad taste to put yourself beneath us when you stand on equal ground. Bunter snorted, and Naruto thought he heard him mumble something along the lines of, told you so, earning him glares from both Ino and Katsuyu. Naruto sighed and addressed Handra. I prefer this form, Lord Handra. It lets me have greater mobility and my power is not affected by it. I took the life of an 8-tailed elder when I arrived in this form. Trust me when I say it is not an act of disrespect toward you. It is simply my preferred form. Very well. Forgive me for interrupting. You may continue. Don't feel the need to apologize so much, Lord Handra. We are all equals here. We're just here to discuss an alliance between our realms and people. That's all. Then why have you asked me here, Lord Naruto? It is no secret that the toads and slugs have been at odds with the serpents for a while now. I did not think that you would want an enemy at this meeting. That is precisely why I wanted you here most of all. The petty and fighting has gone on long enough. Bunter's enemy Manda is S, and therefore he has no reason really to hate the snakes anymore. Katsuyu is an ally of Bunter's and therefore would side with him, although there was no love lost between her people and the snakes either. Manda really made a mess out of things. The feud between the Sannin didn't help either. Bunter nodded his head and put his webbed feet inside his sleeves. That is true. While Manda and I did not get along, I personally hold no enmity toward you, Handra. I am willing to bury the hatchet with the snakes as long as they do not fight my people. I, as well, Handra, will not fight you if you do not strike first. Handra looked from one to the other and then back at Naruto. I accept those terms. They are reasonable and fair. However, I wish to know what you get out of this, Lord Naruto. I get the satisfaction of knowing that my comrades are all friendly. We are all summons of the Leaf Village and therefore we should not fight. As you suspect, however, there are other underlying motives for my calling this meeting. And those would be, I want you to guarantee me that if the Uchiha calls you, you will not fight a loyal Konoha nin. Sasuke is a greedy, manipulative bastard and he will not hesitate to use you for his dirty work. You seem to be an honorable being, Handra, and I would like it if we could part here on amicable terms. I would like that as well. I do not have any wish to fight those I deem worthy of my loyalty. I was not impressed with my summoner when I was called forth that day. He exudes an aura of malice and evil. Manda was such a being and I was shaken every time I came into contact with him. I agree not to be hostile towards Leaf Nin. That's good, because my son is soon to be a ninja, along with his 2 half-siblings. I would like it very much if you swear never to help Sasuke where they are concerned. Your son. The boy who hugged you that day. I see. I will not help him harm your family. In fact, I am currently thinking of reviewing whether or not that man deserves to be summoner of the snakes. You have another who would love to be chief summoner. Ah yes, the Anko woman. She is eccentric, to say the least. I have been summoned by her several times, since Manda would not allow her to call him. She is scary, for a human. The other 3 summons threw their heads back and roared with laughter. Calling Anko scary was an understatement. Ino giggled to herself and scooted closer to Naruto. She didn't like snakes, even if it was a friendly one. Gamabunta finally got himself under control and wiped a tear from his eye. Ah, that was good. I tell you though, Handra, for sheer eccentricity, you can't beat Rock Lee, my summoner. That boy is weird. He has a good heart, but he is just plain weird. And I want to take my sword to those eyebrows every time I see him. Indeed, my summoner, Haruno Sakura, is a bit off-kilter as well. She talks to herself at times. It's quite disturbing. What about you, Naruto? Naruto grinned and pulled Ino closer. My summoner is strange too. Why, just the other day she tackled me and... Before he could say another word, Ino hit him in the jaw, sending him to his back. She was flushed red and bowed quickly to the other chiefs. I'm very sorry. He can be a handful sometimes. Handra sniffed the air and looked at the Queen of Foxes. You smell a little bit strange, Lady Ino. Are you perhaps in the season? Ino blushed further and turned away, quickly shaking her head. Handra tilted his head quizzically and turned to the other two summons. Correct me if I'm wrong, honored chieftains, but does she not give off pheromones like one that is in H? Katsuyu looked at her thoughtfully and nodded her head. Tell me, Lady Ino, will this be your first child? Ino simply stared into Naruto's shoulder, but her eyes see to Katsuyu. I see. I believe you should talk to Lady Tsunade or Lady Sakura about the birth process. It would benefit you. Ino suddenly shouted out over the clearing. Why is it that everyone speaks as if I'm already pregnant? Katsuyu and Gamabunta simply stared at her. They'd been around a long time and knew. They just knew when someone was pregnant. It was the aura and scent they gave off. Ino didn't want to hear that though. Unfortunately for her, Handra was a snake of honor and deemed it his task to tell her. Lady Ino, you are pregnant though. I can smell it on you that you are with child. I'm certain my fellow chieftains can as well. Allow me to congratulate you on that. Ino sat stunned in Naruto's lap. For several minutes, the chiefs talked amongst themselves, the business already out of the way, and discussed what they did in their separate realms to keep their subordinates in line. Handra found this especially helpful, since some of the snakes were not very forthcoming with him being the chief. Suddenly, Ino's eyes lit up and she tackled Naruto in a monstrous hug. Oh my god, I'm pregnant. I'm gonna be a mother. I love you. Naruto simply held his wife as she continued to blubber into his en and looked at the other chiefs for a bit of help. They merely looked at him with smug looks. Bunta smirked and puffed on his pipe, as Gamakichi and Gamatatsu looked on, their shoulders shaking with unheard laughter. Congratulations, brat. I hope that those kids of yours are twice the hellion you were, so you know what being a father is all about. I'm a father already, thank you very much. I know how to raise children. Gamakichi came over and him on the shoulder good-naturedly. Yeah bro, but Hikaru's a human. You're going to be dealing with full B-demon children. Foxes at that. You're going to have your hands full. Remember how hyperactive you were. Times that by 10. Naruto paled and looked at Ino, who was still blabbering about motherhood and how great it was going to be. A thought suddenly came to him and it made him shudder. Don't foxes have litters? He didn't share that thought with Ino at that moment. The rest of the talk went without incident. It was hard not to be upbeat and optimistic with each other when Ino was chatting with Katsuyu about motherhood. The slug was graciously patient with the chatterbox and soon declared her departure back to her own realm. She swore her allegiance to their pact and left. Handra as well was happy that he had come. His own realm was in a bit of a bind right now, but with the support of his new allies, he was sure he could claim his rightful place and end all the senseless bickering amongst his people. And as sure as his name was Handra, he swore never to aid Sasuke in any of his endeavors against the Uzumakis. If the question was ever put to him, he would revoke the Uchiha's summoner contract immediately. He bade the Uzumakis and Gamabunta a good day and slunk back off to his realm. Gamabunta puffed on his pipe and looked down at Naruto. Tell me brat, why did you not invite the other Konoha summons? You know, Enma, the dogs, the turtles, why aren't they here too? Naruto struck a thoughtful pose and was quiet for a while. I guess, because I don't know them all that well. I know the apes were Sarutobi's personal summon, but I've never seen one. I don't even know if Konohamaru can summon one or not. As for the dogs and turtles, I don't know who their bosses are, so I didn't want to call for them. Besides, if they're powerful, we'll meet them one day. So, old frog, what do you think? Bunta blew out another ring of smoke and contemplated his answer. The brat had grown in recent years and he was grateful for that. He couldn't stay an idiot forever after all. I think you did well here, Naruto. Not many would have dared call a meeting of chieftains. But then again, you never went by conventional standards, have you? Bunta sucked on his pipe again and looked down at his sons. So, what do you two think of Naruto's kingdom? Gamakichi looked up at his father and grinned. I like it. It's not as wet as ours, but it's nice. Really green. Hey bro, think I can visit here often? I don't see why not. If your father makes you the official go-between of our two realms, I think you could come and go as you please. Just don't step on any baby foxes and you should be good. I wouldn't do that. Unless they were really annoying. Gamakichi. Kidding, Pops, kidding. Sure thing Naruto, I'd love to be the go-between. By the way, aren't you kind of calm, considering you just found out your wife is pregnant? Naruto shrugged and grinned at his friend. I've already had one kid. The novelty of pregnancy kind of wore off. What could possibly be different? Gamabunta smirked. Tell me, brat, how was Ino when she was a human in biological matters? What? You mean like period and all that s? She was like any other girl, except she was Ino, so she was really B. Aha. Considering things of AS nature, how was she? Bunter. Geez man, try to show a little restraint. Let's see, she was a wild woman when she was mortal. Really, really wild. Like, above the norm. Overabundant drive. And now that she's queen of the foxes. Well, she's a lot worse when she wants it. God, the other day we got into a scuffle, rolled down the stairs and it turned her on. Her hormones are crazy as a demon. I don't. The smirk on Bunter's face got bigger and bigger, and Gamakichi and Gamatatsu's laughs got louder and louder. Quote, run away. Stay in the Fox Kingdom. Suck it up and act like a man, brat. You've got at least one on the way now. I don't know how being human will have messed with your demon physiology, but your woman is pregnant and you've got 9 months of hell. You know, I can hear you guys clear across the clearing. It's not like you can whisper very well, Bunter. Naruto tensed and turned slowly to find his wife with her arms crossed and her toe tapping a rhythm into the dirt. He cracked a half-hearted grin and quickly wondered how he was going to get out of this. Hey honey. You sure look pretty. Have I told you I love you lately? Nice try, Jay. It's my first time being pregnant and all I wanted was a little understanding and love from my supportive husband and I can't even get that. You don't love me at all. Naruto looked at her in disbelief. Surely it was too early for mood swings yet. Ino was just being her usual manipulative self in order to get something. He sighed and put his arm around her shoulders. She shrugged him away and continued her crocodile tears. Naruto wrapped his arms around her and pulled her close. Okay Ino, what do you want? I know for a fact you're just acting. She turned and looked at him with wide eyes. Her act had always worked in the past. Naruto grinned and tapped the side of his head. Ino cursed in her mind. Damn, he probably heard that too. Sure did, babe. You can't fool me, no matter how cute you look when you're pouting. Fine. As soon as we get back, we're going to see my parents and tell them I'm pregnant. Can't you even pretend to be happy that we're having a baby? Naruto smiled at her gently and pulled her in close, her forehead. Oh Ino, I'm ecstatic that we're having a baby. It's just I've been a parent before so I've been here before. It's all new to you and I love that. I'm sure you'll look lovely when you're pregnant. He sat there holding her for several moments with his eyes closed. So what? I'm not pretty or lovely right now. He didn't open his eyes or twitch a bit. Don't ruin the moment, sweetie. Or, aren't you two the cutest thing? Get the F out of here, frog. You're ruining the moment. Ino. What? I'm sorry, but Gamakichi's being an A. Naruto sighed and turned back to his friend, who was chuckling like crazy. Kichi, do you mind? I was in the middle of a heartfelt talk. No problem, bro. I'll talk to you later. Ino, it was good seeing you again. And congratulations. Bye Kichi. We'll see you later. As Gamakichi hopped away to catch up to his father and brother, Naruto looked back down to the woman in his lap and smiled. Ino was contentedly rubbing her belly, as if trying to feel the life growing within her. Naruto placed his hand on top of hers and her. You'll be a great mom, Ino. Now let's go inform the council and go back home. Sure. Just as soon as you lose those pants. Ino. Now. Blame it on the hormones. Ino, everyone can see. No one can see us. Everyone's gone. Ino. Gimmee you're now. After informing the entire realm that the queen was pregnant and dealing with a multitude of ecstatic well-wishing foxes, Naruto was glad to relax in the palace for the night before going home in the morning. As he lay beside Ino, with her snuggling against him, he thought back to earlier that day and burst into giggles. Ino looked up at him sleepily and yawned. Was so funny. Gimme your wee wee. Ino looked at him and blushed, before punching him in the arm. What? I was horny and I didn't hear you complaining. That's because I was laughing too hard to defend myself. Get some sleep, eh? We're going home tomorrow and we're talking to my parents. She snuggled back into his side and closed her eyes when she felt him shaking. She cracked one eye open and saw him staring back at her with a bigger grin. Wee wee. Go to sleep, you stupider. It's a good thing he was the king, otherwise he would have been sleeping on the couch. As they appeared back in the Uzumaki household, Naruto suddenly felt a sense of apprehension hit him. This wasn't like telling her parents that he wanted to marry her. They could have rejected him then. This was telling them that they had a demonic grandchild on the way. Oh well, as long as it was cute, Yuka probably wouldn't care. Hopefully. Tsunade and Sakura took the news as well as most women do. They were bouncing up and down like kids on a sugar high. Hikaru was happy to have another sibling and wanted to know what it was going to be. Naruto chuckled and told him they wouldn't know that for a while yet. Hikaru was disappointed but otherwise happy. Juugo and Karen didn't know what to think, but were happy for Naruto and Ino regardless. Naruto sat explaining things to the kids while the three women had girl talk. "So Ino, how does it feel to be a mother?" "It feels good, Lady Tsunade. I think I'll like being a mother. I'm already a mom, but starting from scratch will be a new experience. I can't wait." Tsunade saw Sakura wince when Ino said she was already a mom, but it was the truth. Nothing could be done about that. Forgetting her apprentice's uncomfortability for the moment, she asked about Ino's parents. "I don't know yet. We haven't gone to tell them. We did just get back." A predatory gleam came into Tsunade's eyes and she grinned slyly. "Well then, we'd better go tell them, hadn't we?" "We?" "Yes, we. I want to see how Inoki reacts to being a grandfather." "How do you think Mom will act?" Tsunade shrugged. "Probably the same way me and Sakura did. She'll squeal a bit, give you lots of hugs, and then she'll threaten Naruto." Sakura smirked and stood up. "Oh yeah, I definitely have to see this. Well, let's gather the kids up and go grandparent hunting." Naruto was nervous the whole trek to the Yamanaka household. He hadn't really had to tell Sakura's parents when Hikaru was conceived. She didn't want him there when she told them. This was a new development for him too, and, even though they had told him they wanted grandbabies, he wasn't sure how they'd take it. He just wasn't comfortable at the moment. Ino was bouncing up and down as they walked down the road. She couldn't wait to see the look on her parents' faces when she told them the news. Things were definitely looking up. As the group approached the door of the Yamanaka home, Tsunade and Sakura were barely able to contain the giggles. This would be worth watching. Ino greeted her mother with a hug and her father with a kiss on the cheek. The women all accepted Yuka's offer of tea and sat down on the various chairs and couches to watch the show. Inoki sat beside his wife and Naruto sat beside Ino. If Sakura and Tsunade would have had popcorn, it would have been perfect. The kids sat not really knowing what was happening. The foxes were intrigued about the whole situation. Usually, the Vulpine did not make such a big deal out of children. Kits were a blessing, but they were also a part of life. The hullabaloo surrounding the whole event was strange. Yamanaka Yuka was suspicious of her daughter's arrival with her husband and friends in tow. The last time a get-together this large involved her daughter and son-in-law. The two were getting married. Naturally, she wanted answers. "Ino dear, not that I mind you coming here, because I love when you do, but why are you all here? You and Naruto aren't getting a divorce, are you?" "Mom. No. We aren't getting a divorce. We just have something to tell you and Daddy, something important." Inoki sat on the edge of his seat. His daughter never talked about important things to them. She was much too secretive and private. Ino watched her father and waited until he took a sip of tea to drop her bomb. "I'm pregnant." Inoki choked on his tea and began to choke, prompting Naruto to clap him on the back to loosen up his esophagus. Yuka launched herself at her daughter and began hugging her relentlessly while crying something unintelligible about grandbabies. Once Inoki caught his breath, he asked Naruto on the back, shook his hand, and crushed him in a hug. Poor Naruto had no clue what to do and just stood there like a statue. "So Naruto, finally lived up to expectations, eh? I thought it would take you longer than a year to get the ball rolling, but you barely made it." "I was joking about the year thing, you know. There wasn't any reason to rush. It wasn't like that, sir. Inoki, please. Naruto, I'm your father-in-law. At least treat me like one of the guys." All right then, Inoki. It's not like we planned this. Most don't. But, Ino's different now, you understand. She's a demoness and therefore her physiology is different. Her biological clock is different. She's been in H and that pretty much guarantees that she'll get pregnant. Naruto shrugged and turned to look at the hugfest going on between Ino and a blubbering Yuka. He shuddered, wondering when the woman was going to latch onto him. We don't know. A human has never turned demon that we know of, so we're kind of a test group. Hopefully, it won't be every year. I don't know how I'd keep her off me if that happened. Keep her off you, you say. So it's been difficult. Naruto stared at Inoki like he'd grown another head and laughed his ear off. You have no idea how awkward it is discussing the particulars of my life with my father-in-law. Yes, it's difficult. Ino emits a pheromone that is like a drug to me. No matter how much I try to resist, I simply can't. And even when I do resist she. Naruto mumbled the last part and Inoki leaned in, asking what he'd said. I said she just takes it anyway, okay. Inoki tried not to laugh, he really did, but the thought of Ino overpowering the most powerful demon alive just so she could have some nookie was a funny thought indeed. The Yamanakas were a very open family when it came to marital life and weren't ashamed to discuss things. It probably came with being a family of mind walkers, but then again, it could be their very nature. So, my little girl, who weighs all of 110 pounds soaking wet, is able to just take it. That's rich. It's not funny, man. She's freaking scary when she gets like that. Tell you what, let's play a little game. Imagine your wife. She's in the mood and she wants to play. Now let's say you don't want to give it up. What's she gonna do? Whine and cry until I give in. Okay, that's how Ino used to be. Must run in the family. Now, she fights me until she gets into my pants. Literally fights me. The other day I wouldn't let her have any, so she tackled me, we tussled on the floor, by which I mean we kicked and punched and bit and scratched, rolled down a flight of stairs and it turned her on. Inoki's eyes went wide. He knew that demons were a rough sort, but, damn. He felt sorry for his son-in-law. Inoki was about to reply to that until a weeping bundle of happiness known as Yuka tackled Naruto and was crying into his sea. It was hard to make out her muffled words, but, baby, thank, and, happy, were among the only legible ones. Inoki hauled his wife off Naruto and Ino helped her husband back to his feet. Yuka immediately latched herself onto Ino again, crying out how happy she was to have grandbabies finally. Naruto and Inoki decided to celebrate by hitting the bar and getting stone cold drunk. Shikaku and Chusa were already there and were surprised to see Inoki with his son-in-law in tow. They welcomed the boy with open arms as drinking partners were always in high demand among shinobi. And it wasn't every day you got to drink with a demon lord. Shikaku finished off his saucer of sake and turned to Inoki. So, why are the two of you in here? It isn't often you bring guests, Inoki. We're here to celebrate my becoming a grandparent. Barkeep, a round for my friends and I. Chusa and Shikaku were ecstatic and heartily congratulated the expectant father and grandfather. Inoki had wanted grandchildren forever it seemed and had been wondering if Ino would ever get married before Naruto came along. Soon enough all the men were sloshed, with the exception of Naruto. No amount of liquor was enough to get him tipsy. Inoki turned bleary eyes to Naruto and poured himself another drink. Hey, Naruto, I've been meaning to ask you. Are my grandbabies gone, be human or are they going to be all fuzzy? Poor Inoki was soon cursing after Naruto spit his drink all over him. Shikaku and Chusa laughed at the whole proceedings. Naruto wasn't one to let a jab go though. He took a sip of his drink and faced Inoki with a grin. I don't know. We still haven't figured out if she's having just one or a whole litter. It was Naruto's turn to curse that time. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.